This is a snippet of an historical overview of the whereabouts of gnomes, elves, fauns, fairies, goblins, orcs, trolls, and bogies, nymphs, sprites, dryads, past and present by Buck Young. It has been restricted in content because of time, so please read the description below. A long, long time ago, the earth belonged to the creatures of the wood. By creatures of the wood, I mean gnomes, elves, fairies, etc. They tended it and took care of it, played in it, danced and sang in it, cared for wounded animals, worked out disputes between species, sat on mushrooms discussing matters of importance, and drinking Labrador tea, rolled down streams on leaves and bark parachuted from trees on dandelion seeds. This was the world into which mankind was born. These early days, when man was but a newly arrived dinner guest who hadn't yet taken over the house, are fairly well documented in literature and folklore of the world, so there's no need to go into it here. What I'm interested in, and what you should be interested in, is this question: where did all the gnomes, elves, fairies, etc. go? The friction between man and the wood creatures began with the discovery of agriculture. With this discovery, civilization arose and spread. The forests were cleared to provide wood and shelters and fields and pastures and crops. Mankind had set up camp, no longer just a visitor in someone else's world. He pushed the wild back from the newly built doorstep. At first, this wasn't a problem. There weren't that many people, and everyone else felt that it was only fair to allot them the half acre to do with as they wished. Some of them even decided to help out. Gnomes moved into the barn houses and helped with the gardening chores. The spirits of the vegetables helped humans better organize their crops and plant rotation, taught them the correlation between planetary and lunar cycles and the agricultural year. They taught them to plant radishes when the moon is in Cancer, harvest when the moon is in Taurus. Many trolls felt that the heaping piles of manure were a change for the better and decided to stick around too. The rest of the wood creatures just backed off into the wood. But man's dominion spread, and the forests got smaller. Things got real crowded in the woods, and things were getting worse in civilization. Most farmers weren't listening to the spirits anymore. Now there is a little wild land left at all, and even that is shrinking at an unprecedented rate. There is simply not enough wild space for all the gnomes and elves, fauns, fairies, goblins, orcs, trolls, bogies, nymphs, sprites, and dryads. So where are they? Are they dead? No. So where did they go? The answer is a bit surprising. They didn't go anywhere. We did. Early humans had an intuitive knowledge of their role in nature, just as bears and raccoons and mice and every other creature does. They understood from the ways of the wild around them that nothing ever comes from nowhere and nothing ever just disappears. Things change form. Death is necessary for life to continue. They offered up their kills as sacrifice to the gods of nature. They offered praise, prayer, sacrifice, and song to the spirits of the wild, to Brother Buffalo, Brother Deer, and Brother Tree. Now we know that everything that ever existed continues to exist in one form or another, and as far as we can tell, they were more aware of that back then than they are now. So the sacrifice song prayer did not ensure the immortality of the slaughtered, either in body or spirit. That was already taken care of. What it did ensure was the continuance of the connection between the spirit of the slaughterer and the spirit of the slaughtered. Killing is a risky business. The membrane separating the internal from the external is not necessarily as thick or clearly defined as we have come to believe. Every time we kill, we risk killing the reality of that thing inside ourselves as well as outside. We risk breaking the connections that lead in and out of the membrane. Taking a life to feed life requires a keen understanding of the natural law of give and take. When we lost that understanding, gave up the songs, the sacrifice, prayers, we lost the connection. Saying grace is not enough. When we lose those connections, everything becomes dead. Fish, rivers, frogs, mice, even each other. There is no way they can reach inside us anymore. The lines have been severed, and we are all under the impression that it is the forest creatures, the spirits, the wildlands that are disappearing from the universe and not us. This is not so. Thinking like that is like thinking that if you stand on the end of a limb and saw that the limb of the tree, you saw it, that the tree will fall and you will remain standing. It is we who have fallen away from the real world into a world where we may carry out our twisted, sterile dreams without threatening the earth and its inhabitants. Ever wonder why the trees, stones, rivers, streams, birds, bears, frogs, snakes no longer talk to us as they did in the early times of Native America, the Hindu, the Africans, the Bible? It's because we're not around to talk to anymore. Somewhere not so far from here is the real world. The ancient forests are still standing. The buffalo roams the prairies. The sky is full of condors. The deer, the antelope play. The dodo birds still wander the sandy beaches, bumping into things. Where there is still wildlands in our dreams, strong connections still exist. Bridges, tunnels, portals. Occasionally, a traveler will get lost in the wilderness and find himself in the real world, returning the next day to find that 100 years have passed, or never returning at all. There are more connections as well, brooks, waterfalls, where you can still hear voices from the other side if you listen carefully enough. Our children can see their world in their dreams. Their children see our world in the nightmares. And there is another connection. Sometimes agents from the other side infiltrate our world in an attempt to expedite reunification because, believe it or not, they miss us over there, sometimes more often than you might think. They send souls over to our world to be born as human babies. There are quite a lot of them, actually. Gnomes, elves, fairies, sprites, etc., running around in human bodies. Transition from their world to ours is not an easy one. It's not easy on the soul, and much is lost. They may not have any idea what they are at first. They may or may not find out. They will know they are not like other people. They will know that this world is not theirs. They will faintly remember something better, where things made sense and worked like they ought to, where love and magic had the power to heal. They will know what makes other people happy does not make them happy, and what makes them happy makes them happier than anyone else. They will see things others cannot see, hear things others cannot hear, feel things others cannot feel, and know things others do not know. They will laugh a great deal, cry a great deal, or both. They will love humans individually but have a hard time with humanity as a whole, and that will occasionally approach loathing. They will have a handful of very close friends and often be very lonely. They will be unhappiest when forced to act like humans and do what humans do and want what humans want, and when they are convinced that they actually are one. Things will not be easy for them because their memories of the other side, the world will seem to them a wondrous calliope with just a few teeth missing on one of the cogs. Because of this tiny deficiency, the music is often off key, the horses are crashing into each other, and the children are frightened, bruised, and crying. The solutions will seem obvious, but no one will listen. They will repeatedly be punished for shouting fire in a crowded theater when the building really is in flames, but no one else can see. They will have ecstatic visions and babble incoherently. They will be extremely articulate. They are prone to long periods of silence. They have no idea how to say what they really mean. They spend a lot of time with children and animals. They are often accused of living in their own fantasy world. They will speak to inanimate objects. They will have much brighter eyes than everyone else. They will expect their magic to work in this world and their love to heal, and will be crushed by this world and often won't expect it. It will come close to killing them. They will visit the places where the connection still exists, the waterfalls, the mountains, oceans, forests. They will draw on the power they have, and sometimes the magic will work, and everything will be wondrously easy. The teeth will grow back on the cog, on the calliope. The tune will write itself. The horses will bob gracefully up and down, around and around, and the children will giggle and sing with cotton candy stuck to their cheeks and noses. They will spend their days trying to reconnect a branch that millions are busy sawing away at. Often it will be more than they can bear. While the rest of humanity is busy working in new and more efficient ways to lay waste to the earth with the push of a button, they are saving it a handful at a time. They will share a common conviction that they are the only sane individuals in a world gone mad. And they are right.